What's up, Star Wars nerds, and welcome to another episode of Brett on Fett. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at a ton of figures from the original Clone Wars series. I'm talking about the Genndytartakovsky Clone Wars. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 10 of Brett on Fett. And you know, if you're a Star Wars fan, chances are you're very familiar with the computer animated series The Clone Wars by Dave Filoni. Well, way before that show came out, there was another Clone Wars show called Star Wars Clone Wars by Genndytartakovsky. And if you're not familiar with Genndytartakovsky, he is an artist, an animator, a director, a producer, a screenwriter, a voice actor, and a comic book writer. He is truly a man of all talents, but he's probably most famous for his various animated shows on the Cartoon Network, such as Dexter's Laboratory, the very popular Samurai Jack, and of course Star Wars Clone Wars. And Clone Wars was a 2D animated series known as a micro series for its limited runtime and its very short length per episode. The show took place between the events of the movies Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, with the very last episode of the series leading right up to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. The show had 25 different episodes spread over 3 different seasons that ran between 2003 and 2005. And it achieved a cult following with its unique animated style and densely epic storytelling. And it still has a strong following to this day. And today I want to go over all the animated style action figures that came out back in the day for that series, as well as talk a little bit about the recent vintage collection release of the Tartakovsky Clone Wars wave, and what I'd like to see if they decide to do a second wave of those figures. And before we get into the figures, I did want to share with you a couple of maguettes I have that are in the Tartakovsky animated style. These are obviously from Empire Strikes Back. This first one is my absolute favorite piece in my entire Star Wars collection. It's the Boba Fett with Han Solo and Carbonite. I just love the artistic details on this thing. I can't say enough about how cool Boba Fett looks in that particular animated style. And this was an Entertainment Earth exclusive back in the day that I was fortunate enough to pre-order. I think this came out around 2009 or 2010. And then on the right, of course, is Luke Skywalker in his snowspeeder gear. Again, really cool maguette here with the animated style. I really just can't say enough about how cool it is when the Tartakovsky style of animation is applied to anything Star Wars. So anyways, just a couple of pieces I really love, wanted to share with you guys before we got into the discussion on the figures. Alright, so here is that animated style of action figures that Hasbro put out directly based on the show. We'll start with Anakin Skywalker. You see he's in his Episode 2 look, or Phase 1 of the Clone Wars, if you will, with his short hair. Here's a look at the back of the card. And next up we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, looking pretty cool. You can see how well the figures match the look of the characters from the show. Another look at the back of the card. And next up we have Mace Windu. I love this look for Mace Windu. It's one of my favorites, with the armor around his shoulder there. Very cool look. Take a look at the back of the card. Awesome figure. And next up we got everyone's favorite little green guy, Yoda. Looking really cool. Very different Yoda than we're used to, but a very good likeness to the cartoon version of him from the show. Here's a look at the back of the card. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera there. And next up we have a regular clean clone trooper, just the all-white clone trooper. As you can see, it's got the heavy blaster rifle, like from the show that a lot of them carried. There's a look at the back of the card. And next we've got the ARC Trooper Captain in red. He's got his dual pistols. This guy should look pretty familiar to you because TVC has released a couple of these guys. Yeah, there's a look at the back of the card. Very cool figure. One of my favorites of that line. And next up we got the leader of the Separatist army, Count Dooku himself. Again, a very different looking version of him, a very exaggerated looking version, but very, very good likeness to the cartoon version. There's a look at the back of the card. It's a really neat figure there. And next we've got Asajj Ventress, Dooku's apprentice from the Clone Wars. She is awesome. I love her dress on that figure. Really cool looking. Love the dual sabers. Really neat figure. There's a look at the back of the card. And next up, let's see, we have got Dirge. Dirge, this is probably my favorite character, or at least my favorite villain from the show, and probably my favorite figure. This character was only on the Tartakovsky Clone Wars until much later. He made an appearance in some comic books. But yeah, just a really cool villain. And last but not least, from my personal collection of this line is General Grievous. Just a really cool version of him. This was the debut of Grievous. The first time anybody had ever seen him was on this show, because again, it took place before Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, came out in theaters. So really, really neat version of Grievous. And that'll do it for the figures that I own in my personal collection from this line. As far as the rest of the animated figures from this line that I don't have in my collection, there was this other version of the Anakin Skywalker. Then with these clone troopers, there was 3 other variants besides the all-white one. There was this blue one you see here, there was a yellow one, and finally there was a red one. And all 3 of those are fairly hard to find. And then there was 4 different commemorative DVD collection packs that came with 3 figures each. This first one were all repacks with the Obi-Wan, Anakin, and the red ARC Trooper Captain. The second pack was also all 3 repacks with Asajj Ventress, Grievous, and Dirge. Now the third pack is where it starts to get interesting, because you actually have the Commander Cody along with repacks of Obi-Wan and Grievous, but this was the only way you could get that animated version of Commander Cody in that pack. And then this third one had all 3 totally new figures that you could only get in this pack, that being with the tattooed Anakin, a Syces 10, and then a special clone trooper that has some gray trim on him. Again, all 3 of those you can only get with that particular DVD pack. And I would just like to add, in case you didn't know, new for 2022, Hasbro is releasing 3 figures reminiscent of those old school Clone Wars animated figures, but these will be for the Black Series, so they are 6-inch scale, and they're going to have this red ARC Trooper Captain, this Mace Windu that I absolutely love. This may be my favorite Mace Windu figure I've ever seen. And finally, last but not least, General Grievous, looking as cool as ever, and the same color scheme from that original animated series. These went up for pre-order a long time ago, I think like 8 months ago through Walmart, but they are just now starting to ship out to people. So if you're one of the lucky few that were able to secure pre-order, you should start receiving them pretty soon. I was not that lucky. I did not get the pre-orders for these, so I'm going to have to try to find a way to get my hands on them because they're pretty awesome. Okay, and so the past week or so, the pre-orders for that Vintage Collection Tartakovsky Clone Wars Wave started to go out from Walmart. Unfortunately, it was a Walmart exclusive, and they are famous, or should I say infamous, for not packing their Star Wars figures very well, and figures arrive damaged all the time. Although I think this latest delivery may have been overall the worst we've seen. The majority of people I've seen on the internet received at least half of their order in mailer bags, and that includes me. And when I saw those packages on the doorstep with the mailer bags, you know, I just had a sick feeling in my stomach because I knew it was not going to be good.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And, you know, sure enough, the figures that came in the mailer bags were severely damaged. Bubbles dented, holes in the bubbles, bubbles coming off the card. The cards were just bent, creases everywhere, just basically ruined. And, you know, luckily, less than a week later, Walmart did get more stock in, and at least in my case, the figures they had stock were the same ones that I received damaged, so I was able to reorder them. And the second time around, I think Walmart maybe learned their lesson or heard the feedback, because they sent those in boxes large enough. They were bubble wrapped. They came a little bit bent because they were still kind of shoved in diagonally, but not creased. And so I can work with that. You know, you just put a hardback book on top of the card, heavy book or stack of books, for a couple of days or so, and then the cards are fine. So in the end, it all worked out, at least in my case. Alright, so let's take a quick look at this wave of figures. Alright, and first up might be my favorite of this wave, and it's the blue ARC Trooper. I just really like the way the blue colors pop on the card back. The only funny thing about this one is it came with 2 pistols versus the heavy rifle you see on the card back. That's kind of weird. You can see it's VC212. Now this one I was not able to secure a Walmart pre-order for, so I ordered it through a retailer in Hong Kong. So you got the Hong Kong label there on the back. So I guess you can consider that a variant. And here is the other ARC Trooper from the wave, this being the red ARC Trooper Captain. Again, great card back image there. This one, he correctly has the 2 pistols. On the back you can see this is VC213, and again this is the other one I was not able to secure a pre-order for, so I did order it from a Hong Kong retailer. So again, it does have that Hong Kong retailer label on the back. And next up is the Jedi Apprentice Barriss Offee. Again, I love the card back with the purple and the green. The figure is one of my favorites when you're just talking about the figure itself, with the cloth goods. Very cool looking. You can see this is VC214. There's the image on the back. This one I did get from Walmart. And next up is Barriss Offee's Jedi Master, Luminara Unduli. Again, with the purple and green, again, just works really well. And a very cool looking figure. Now you can see it's VC215. A really nice image there on the back with her deflecting the laser beam. And there's the battle droid. And this is another pretty cool looking image. It's probably my least favorite, but still pretty cool. You know, it's a neat color for the battle droids from Geonosis. VC216. Pretty cool image on the back. And then last but certainly not least is Aayla Secura. And she's got the blue color with her blue lightsaber. Again, it pops really well. Awesome card back. The figure is really great. I mean, look at the image on her face. Like how awesome that looks. They're just getting so good with the photoreal technology. And it's VC217, so this is the last one of this wave. Great looking image on the back. Overall, very, very good figure. Really satisfied with this first wave. Okay, so next I want to talk a little about what if Hasbro were to put out a second wave of the Tartakovsky Clone Wars figures. And I think that might be a real possibility. I don't know that they would do more than 2 waves, given that it's such a small series. But if they were to put out a wave 2, I figured it would also be 6 characters just like wave 1. And so I've chosen 6 characters from the Tartakovsky Clone Wars that I would like to see for Wave 2. And starting with Padme Amidala in her snow outfit from Season 2. I just think it's a really cool outfit, and it's a look we haven't seen from her, so it'd be neat to see that. Next on my list is Roran Karab. He's an Ithorian Jedi Knight who was part of the team of Jedis that helped rescue Palpatine from Grievous. I just like Ithorian aliens and thought it was cool that they had an Ithorian Jedi, so I think this would be a really neat figure to have for the Wave. And third on my wish list is Kit Fisto. I mean, how awesome would this card back look with the green colors? And in fact, I'd like to see it in this scene particularly where he's swimming underwater. But they could repack him from TVC if they wanted to, or just change a few things to make it a little more unique for the Clone Wars series. But it would be so awesome to have Kit Fisto in this wave. And then next up, I mean, to me is a must-have. It's probably the most unlikely because how it just have to be a completely new figure, and that would be Dirge. And so it'd be interesting to see how they would create a TVC version of him. But he's one of my favorite characters from the show, so it definitely has to be on this list. And if you're gonna have Dirge, you might as well throw in an IG Lancer droid. Part of the army of droids that Dirge commanded. I love IG unit droids, and these guys are pretty cool. I have a version of this figure from the Legacy Collection, and would love to see him on this TVC line. And last but certainly not least, for my wish list for the Tartakovsky Clone Wars Wave 2, if it ever happens, this would be Saisi 10, the Jedi Knight. But I would want it with his space helmet shown in this picture. It's just such a cool looking helmet. It's got the place for his horns to go. It's kind of got a Mandalorian kind of thing going on. The style. I just love it. This would be such a cool figure if they made one for this. Again, maybe not likely because it would be a completely new figure. But a guy can dream, and this would be one of my favorites of the series if this were to ever come to fruition. Alright, so there's my wish list of 6 figures to be featured in Wave 2 of the Vintage Collection Tartakovsky Clone Wars series. Alright, so let me know in the comments what you think of those old animated style action figures. And if you ordered the recent Vintage Collection Wave, let me know how your Walmart experience went. And finally, if Hasbro does put out a second wave of those Tartakovsky Clone Wars figures, let me know which ones you would like to see. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate it, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next time.